Hi everyone, so welcome back to Rebirth TV. This is Stacy Benton, and we are currently launching our Rebirth experience, which is our Rebirth A Gift Series. That's a novel that was written to inspire, to motivate, transform individuals that may have experienced complex trauma, and they are on their healing journey to transcendence or ascension, to really evolving to become the person that they have always envisioned. So right now we are in part one, which is conception. So if you are first time watching the videos, listening in, definitely thank you so much for spending your time. And I really appreciate it because you're taking out time out of your day. Excuse me. You're taking out time out of your day to actually educate yourself, to get some inspiration, encouragement, some motivation when it comes to your experiences with complex trauma. Now, I want to encourage you to go back and watch all the videos because everything will come together in a cohesive manner to give you more understanding and insights into your journey to healing and restoration. So today we are, well, first of all, I am having a really good day. I am feeling very good. I hope you are feeling the same. I know that when you're dealing with complex trauma, there may be some good days. You may have some bad days. So for those good days, definitely, I want to encourage you to embrace those. Just really immerse yourself in the experience and try to, if it's sunny outside, go get you some fresh air. Do something if it's going to just maybe getting some ice cream, just doing something for yourself that will make you feel good, that will make you feel inspired, because during this journey, you will see that the more that you shift your focus and mind away from the repetitive thoughts of the trauma that you experience in your mind, the more that you kind of start to separate yourself from that thought process and emerge or to get new experiences that may be challenging at first, because it may be challenging for you to just go outside and get some fresh air. But I want to encourage you, go outside, get some fresh air. If you can go for a walk, go for a walk. If you like any type of activities outside, fresh air is absolutely amazing for your body. It's amazing for your mind. Walking, just for a relaxing walk, is also amazing as well for your healing, clearing your mind, reframing your thoughts, just really getting into nature. So even if you're really not a nature person, you may like the gym, you may like to be around people, that's great. Just find an activity that you can possibly do outside, because inhaling fresh air, getting some fresh oxygen flowing is always great. So that's just a little nugget there I wanted to share with you guys. Today I really wanted to go back to that article we were talking about on the previous video, and we were just discussing childhood trauma. And that is an intricate part of part one, which is conception. And because we're going back to the very beginning of when your trauma actually happens. So it can be very challenging at first. So the entire purpose of the Rebirth A Gift Series and the Rebirth experience is to bring more joy into your life and more clarity and understanding and wisdom, so that you can actually continue on your journey of healing. By no means any material is not meant to trigger you emotionally, but that may happen, okay? And if that do happen, if you feel the need to go to therapy. I really encourage you. If you feel the need to express yourself with someone you trust, I encourage you to, because breaking that mold of silence is very, very vital to your healing process. So I want to encourage you to break the mold. If you feel triggered, go and reach out. Reach out to someone that's a trusted individual. It could be a therapist. It could be a spiritual leader. It could be someone that you look up to, that you can really express yourself openly, not with restrictions, not with just open yourself up, and be able to just share how you're feeling at that moment. So again, let's just shift a little here. We are doing conception, and let me shift the screen back to the article, and I really want to kind of dive deeper into this. We were talking about the impacts of complex trauma or childhood abuse, and we did go into detail about the physical side effects or the physical symptoms that you may go through that really impacts your health. So on the video previously, we did discuss that. Again, this article is on www.verywellmind.com, and you just want to Google childhood trauma, search that up here in the screen, and you will be able to kind of take a look at that and read the previous version. Now, I did go over that in the previous video, but just go up the article if this is your first time, so you can kind of bring it all together. All right, so up here we were talking about, just briefly, shift this here, treating the effects of childhood trauma. So we discussed the actual statistics on that. What is childhood trauma? The connection between childhood trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, so on this video, I'm actually going to click here and just kind of just go over understanding post-traumatic stress disorder in children. Now, you may be wondering, like, why am I choosing to discuss this situation or discuss trauma when it comes to how it relates to children? The main purpose of this is because I want you to go back to the beginning of your childhood trauma. Okay, so we're dealing with complex trauma. So complex trauma normally starts in childhood because it's a duration of time that you continuously experience other traumatic events. So what we're going to focus on, while we're going back to the beginning, which is conception, is for you to actually understand your own trauma, so that now, as you if you have children, or if you're considering having children, you will understand the connection and how to break it, how to break that cycle, how to disrupt it. So now your child or your children can grow up and feel safe in an environment that's emotionally, physically, and mentally safe. Because if you do not face your own trauma, then those experiences are going to be experienced in your children, because you don't have the capacity to really understand, because you haven't gone through the full process of healing. So there's a lot of trauma that you may be still dealing with that is triggering you. And these triggers will impact your ability to effectively discipline, raise your kids, balance adulthood, like a job, a career, husband or wife, relationships, and balancing that with parenthood. Because in parenthood, there's challenges. Oh my gosh, I had to pause there. But because I am a parent of 3, so But there are challenges there to just raising a child, okay? So you want to go back to your beginning of your conception when you actually experience your trauma, okay? So here it's talking about understanding post-traumatic stress disorder in children. This was written by Matthew Toll. He's a PhD, and it's medically reviewed by Akeem Marsh. Here he is there. So this just lets you know that this is a very credible article. So the information is valid. There's some validity in that. So I am giving you some concrete evidence and information that is valid, okay? And that's one of the things you want to take into consideration when you're going on your healing journey, because you want the most up-to-date, credible information to educate yourself completely and fully when it comes to healing your complex trauma. So adults are certainly not the only ones who can experience post-traumatic stress disorder after going through a traumatic event. Children and adolescents can experience the same emotional challenges and behavioral symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder as adults. More than 2/3 of children in the United States report having experienced at least one traumatic event by the age of 16 years old. Of children who experience trauma, it is estimated that about 16% will end up struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder. So, the traumatic event could be sexual molestation, any type of abandonment, neglect, a child that may have been in foster care, estranged from their biological family. They could be experiencing a sickness that is traumatizing for them. So these are all traumatic events that can trigger a child into developing post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, this is very critical to understand, because as you continue and begin your healing journey, you will begin to see that you may have some symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. And a lot of times these symptoms remain hidden because the brain processes information as it comes in, and also past experiences. So if you have suppressed your trauma, then your brain is like trying to figure out what's going on. Is this really happening now because you're constantly being triggered by the experiences, or is this something that happened then? But normally, if you're dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, you're going to have that situation appear repetitively, almost obsessively. And anything can trigger. A loud noise can trigger it. Something that brings you back to that experience. Like if you experience childhood trauma, something as simply as a red shirt that connects that experience of that trauma can trigger you. And when you're not aware of your triggers, it only increases, or that emotional trigger, it only increases the post-traumatic stress in that child or adult. So it's very vital to understand what traumatic event happened. And the younger the child is, sometimes that children are very resilient. And if you experience this as if you experience childhood trauma, you probably, a lot of it you may have suppressed if it was only a one-time traumatic event. Meaning that it wasn't something that you had to continuously be exposed to. It could have been, for instance, a bad car accident. You may not have been injured, but just the impact of it just really traumatized you. But if you have like complex trauma as a child, that means you experience trauma over a period of time. The frequency, the duration only increases that trauma to the point where it becomes a embedded, innate fear that feeds on an anxiety. It creates an anxiety that supposedly causes your brain to feel threatened over and over and over and over again. It's like it never stops. And if you are around someone that reminds you of that traumatic event, you're triggered again. So you want to pay attention to your emotional triggers.